why on earth would they release a brand new Mario Party for the Switch at the end of the generation? Why would they give us not just a new Mario Party, but like the biggest, grandest, most ambitious Mario Party ever? Right there on the Switch. Didn't they know? Did Nintendo forget that the Switch 2 was coming? Why? Why would they do that? I mean, I suppose it's possible that they'll make it a cross-gen thing. You know, it'll be backwards compatible, sure. Maybe they'll do some sort of remaster or something for the Switch 2. You know, just to tide people over until they can do a big, full new release, right? Oh, how small-minded were we in our confusion. This was all a part of the plan. Because now we have Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV. And sure, you could argue that yes, this is sort of to tide us over until we eventually do get like a big exclusive Switch 2 Mario Party, I suppose. But at the same time, it's a fairly meaty upgrade, and obviously this was always part of the plan. And it's kind of genius, you know, because the original Switch got 3 different Mario Parties, and this one was the biggest one. Jamboree really was the biggest one and the best one, just the grandest in scope, probably the closest to the kind of Mario Party that Mario Party fans are looking for. So many different modes, just like a really good amount of content, and it felt strange to give us the best Mario Party at the end, because then how do you one-up yourself for Switch 2? And I suppose they still technically do kind of have that issue now where, like, where do you go from here? This one is really good. How do you make the next one that much better? But at the same time, though, this really is genius, because now we have the biggest, grandest Mario Party on Switch 2, as well as a bunch of new games and things that utilize Switch 2's specific hardware and features. So it's very smart. I think it was a very, very smart move. I think Nintendo has really done something real clever here. And so, I don't know, let's just look at the new stuff. Jamboree base game now uses the Switch 2 social features, the whole game chat thing, and uses the camera if you want it, or just the voice feature so that you can play Mario Party with friends with native voice chat and everything. So that's already really cool, especially using the little faces, again, as I've talked about before, because you can now see each other's expressions when you beat each other and get really angry. And I think it's really, especially now that you can play online, that's a really, really cool thing. And apparently you can use the camera when you are playing online or local multiplayer, or when you're playing together in one room. It can still like see everybody and isolate their faces and incorporate that into the little circles into the game. And that's cool. It's really cool that it works that well. But then, yeah, for Jamboree TV, they've introduced some new modes that really utilize this new stuff. You've got Bowser Live, which most heavily utilizes the camera and, of course, the microphone as well. And I will say, Bowser Live is definitely the one that I am, like, barely interested in at all. I don't like mini games using like alternate modes like this. It's kind of fun and it's kind of silly, but like it's really just Connect. And I don't know. I'm just really not into that kind of thing. The whole like having the camera and integrating yourself into the game thing, I don't know. That idea felt old. Kind of like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's not like the idea just expires forever. I don't know. It's cool. I'm sure people will have fun with it. But yeah, just Connect style games where you're in the game. And like especially like using your voice to control stuff. I am personally just not into that. That just sounds frustrating. However, I do still think that it's cool. I like how it works. Again, the fact that you can do it online or in the same room, and it even like the way it incorporates even sometimes your whole body. It has the people like coming up from the pipes. That is cute. It's not gonna, it's probably not gonna look as good If you're all just like sitting down, slumped on the couch, I don't know quite if it like tells you to stand up or what. It's not gonna look quite as good coming up from those pipes if people aren't presenting themselves to the camera. But it is cool. It's cute. And you know what? As I said in my whole video on game chat, the camera angle, I do think it's fun because even if you can't play with other people in the room, this really is kind of the next best thing, especially looking at the screen and seeing like the actual faces and bodies of all of these people. It kind of is simulating them being together in the same room. It's neat. But then you've got Carnival Coaster, and this is the one that heavily utilizes mouse controls. And, you know, it's kind of cool. There's like a number of mini games that use mouse controls. I don't know exactly how many there are, but looks to be a pretty good little amount there. And then like in between the games, you're on the coaster, and then it uses the new HD rumble. And that sounds kind of fun. I'm a little curious to see how the new HD rumble feels, because, you know, the controllers are a little bit bigger, so it's going to feel, I don't know how much the actual tech is improved, or is it really just the fact that it's bigger, so it's less, like, tiny and buzzy? There's just, like, more room for the motors to roll around in there. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. You're on a roller coaster, so you can, like, feel it rumbling and stuff. And I do think it's fun how you're shooting pair of bitty buddies or whatever with the mouse. It's kind of neat between things. And yeah, like mouse-controlled minigames, it's another thing where I think I'm probably not into it, again, just because I'm an old grump and I'm not super into the gimmicky, feature-y minigames. However, I say that, but then I have to remind myself, like, look at this. Using mouse controls in a multiplayer minigame, that is not something I've ever done before. You know, like using a mouse, like a computer mouse, to play a game, it has always been a very, like, solo experience. You know, people play online with PC games, but how often do you see, like, the actual cursors themselves interacting and occupying the same space on the screen? It is just one of many, many examples of Nintendo taking something that is old and doing something slightly new with it. So even though I don't think I'm quite into these games, at the same time, 4-player mouse games where everybody's mouse cursor is there, that is pretty interesting. I might have to try that. That's just, it's just kind of a new experience in the realm of video games. I'm not saying nobody's ever done anything like it before, but for the most part, that can't be common. And you know what? At the very, very least, I am looking at these games, and there are a couple that I'm wanting to try at least like once, like spray painting the bob-ombs, because it really utilizes the new HD rumble. You know, I never thought the HD rumble on the original Switch was like a really big deal, but the couple times, like the really tiny handful of times that, you know, something like 1-2 Switch or whatever would really make you listen to it and really feel it. It was cool. There is a novelty there. So yeah, I'm watching them like shaking up the can and spraying the bob-ombs, and I'm like, you know what? I bet that one does feel pretty cool. I'm kind of looking forward to trying that out. And I don't know, there may be some of those mini games that are just fun. You know, I don't hate using a mouse overall. I have kind of grown to dislike waggle kind of across the board, but like, yeah, using a mouse, I bet some of these games are fun. I'm at the very least gonna try them out. So yeah, I would say that most of the new content using the new features are kind of like, I don't know, maybe a little hit or miss for me. But I do really like how the whole entire game is integrating the camera. I think that's an incredibly fun feature that's just gonna make the game that much more fun. And then of course the game looks better. The original already did look really quite good. You know, the graphics are fairly simple, but they still managed to look really nice, and now seeing it at a much higher resolution, it just looks that much more just sharp, just like sharp and nice. And then talking flower. I really didn't expect to see the talking flower pop up anywhere else. I really didn't expect it. But there it is. They're talking flowers in this game. All right. So that's Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree. It's a bit of a mouthful. Another of quite a few Switch games that are getting brand new content for Switch 2 And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I'm sure when it comes out, I will play this new content and make some sort of video about it. You know, if you want. Just, I don't know, just thinking about it.